Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to People Do Work, the fifth, I think, in a webinar series designed to help you improve people engagement, create good growth in your organization, and start that transition to moving from a profit first business to a people first business. And hopefully, if you've watched a couple of our webinars, maybe been to a couple of our events, you'll have seen the power of making that transformation. So today we're going to be online for about 30 minutes. I think we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Hope you can stay tuned because you're going to learn some stuff. So today's theme is it's a different one actually. I picked this because we have a content guide that we've created between us as a team, and we've got 65 content pieces that we're going to do webinars on and events on that are all designed for leaders and people in organizations to start making that shift from profit first, fear-driven leadership to people first, engaging servant leadership style stuff, which leads to good growth, happy people, happy leaders, and really good productivity. So this one was a tough one to pick, and I picked it on purpose because we're not experts in the built environment, the desk organization, chairs, spaces and stuff. So but it's an important part in the mix of how to engage your people better into the organization and create a really aspirational brand and a really good business. So picked it because it meant I need to do some research and do some digging. So I've got some interesting stats. And like I said, these webinars aren't just about giving you information. They're about helping you understand the nature of the problem that maybe exists in your organization. It helps you understand maybe the things that you're trying to do that aren't going to work or aren't working currently. And then maybe some solutions that will work based on research and statistics. And then what happens when you do get it right. So that's what we're all about today. But first, before we dig in, just a bit of background on us, just to make sure you know who we are, what we stand for, and what we do. Our business is called Forward Thinking. People do work. You've got to imagine us like if you think of forward thinking like a band, right? Forward thinking is like the record label. The Sherpa guides are the band members. The instruments that we have are People Do Work, YAB, and Success GPS. Some of you have heard of those things. And the lyrics, that's where the People Do Work ethos and brand comes in. That's our voice. It's our lyrics. It's our ethos. It's our beliefs. As an organization, our vision is to change the way the world does business by putting people first, not profit, because we know it works. We've been in profit first organizations, every single one of us. And that profit first approach breaks people. The people first approach makes them. And that's what we're all about. So we've got a little bit of visual here to explain that. Like if you're a leader in a profit first business, this is what it can probably look like. You've got a high staff turnover. People feel a little bit exploited. You even feel like you're exploiting people, but don't know there's another way. There's high stress levels, employee burnout, leader burnout, middle management burnout. It's really tough. And it's tough when you're a leader. You can see this happening, but you don't know how to fix it. You just double down on what you know best, and that actually makes it worse. There's a distrust going on in terms of top down and also bottom up. What we find is that there's a big say-do gap. What the leaders say is not what they do. That breeds a massive element of distrust. People feel isolated and disconnected. Reflected on my own past, my own journey as a leader, I wasn't a good leader years ago. And if there's anyone watching this that was led by me, I apologize for the leader I was. But you have to go through that pain of understanding and self-awareness to come out the other side and realize what good leadership's about. And I'm by no means perfect at all, but I'm developing and I'm learning every day from people I work with, which is great. So it leads to isolation, disconnection, and silo working. When I ran a business with 75 people in it, there were moments when I've never felt as lonely, surrounded by that many people and just sitting there thinking, I feel so alone. Anyway, that's kind of profit first. It's basically a fear-based approach to leadership. That carrot and stick. And what do you get between a carrot and a stick? A donkey. Not the right approach. So what does people first look like? Well, resilience, well-being. You can see there, look, great graphics, by the way. These are all done by Emma Weston. You can see in the bottom left, They're brilliant. Emma takes like complicated, multi-stranded concepts that might be very wordy, and she brings them into sort of some visual imagery that's a bit more engaging. So I'm hopefully you're enjoying this. And if you like the images that you see, please reach out to Emma. So yeah, people first, it's resilience, well-being. People feel empowered. People feel like their creativity and innovation gland is released and it's being massaged. You know, it creates space to think and stuff. We've got loyalty backwards and forwards between leaders and people and leaders. Collaboration, retention. How many people are you losing because you just pay them money to do work? Where's the connective tissue? It's not there. There's no engagement. There's no clear vision. There's no purpose. There's no leadership that's capturing and caring for and grabbing that sort of that people voice, the voice of the people, the perspective of the people. There's no format for that. So people just, if people just work for you because they get paid, they'll work for someone else really easily if they're going to get paid more. We need more in our business. We need multi-stranded connective tissue that binds people like glue, community, purpose, togetherness. So instead of working like siloed with 70 people in 70 boats all rowing in different directions, you're actually one boat. You're an amoeba, single-celled organism moving forward collectively together. It's a great feeling. Let me tell you, it's a great fit. As a leader, you'll love it because you won't have that tiredness and overwhelm of having to tell everyone what to do and thinking you've got all the answers. Additionally, you know, your people enjoy the fact that they feel valued. It's just I can't get over how important it is. And this is what the people do. What a message is all about. It's like moving from the left into the right, moving from profit to people, moving from disengaged to highly engaged. You know, and that's what we're all about. But who am I? You might not have seen me, you might not know, or have heard of Andy Henderson or our business before. But I founded this organization 7 years ago. It includes Success, GPS, Yard, People Do Work, and we're building a franchise community around what we do. We've got East Lancs, we've got South Manchester, we've got Devon, and we're growing all the time. I have run and owned two previous businesses, which are multi-million pound businesses, which are great. Been in business now, it's actually 7 years. I looked at it the other day. February was our 7th birthday, so must update slides. I've worked with 400 at least businesses myself. My team have worked with 100 plus businesses, and we're really making a difference to the lives of people. We're increasing revenues. We're helping people and leaders transform from profit to people first and enjoying the good growth and good vibes associated with that. And what we're trying to do is, you know, we have some numbers that we're aiming for. 50 franchisees, 200 YAB groups, 6,000 members. And it's not about the numbers, the revenue, and the profit, although that is good. It's not the primary goal. The primary goal is when we've got 6,000 members in YAB, we've really captured and harnessed the voice of the small business community. We're the backbone of the UK economy, and we get no support. So I want to take that voice of our people, of our members, of the small business community. I want to take that to government and lobby for support for us because we need it. We need that help. So that's the goal. That's us. But who are you? This will particularly land with you if you are a senior leader in business. If you've got a responsibility for people, and if you're a leader, you do. If you're responsible for delivering outcomes, if you've got like maybe £1 million plus revenues, 10 plus people. If as a person you're ambitious, as a leadership team you're ambitious, you're people first, or you want to be, you're into self-development, learning, growing, open to new ideas, you want to make a difference. It's not just about the money. You actually want to make a difference. You want to feel good and fulfilled from the great work you do with your people and see the great work that they're doing with their customers, with your customers. You thrive off change and challenge, and you're a value creator. You love creating new stuff, new markets, new ideas, new ways of building value in the organization that can spill over the edges to impact the lives of your customers. So hopefully you've self-qualified in on that. If it's not for you, please hang around. You might learn some stuff that you can share. If it's not for you, maybe crack on and get on with your day. So today's theme, improving team performance through collaborative workspaces. I'll just keep reiterating that all the way through. But before we dig in, you're going to learn some stuff today. You're going to understand how you can implement some of the things you learn. If you implement them in your business, you're going to make a difference, right? That's definite. And the longer you leave it from things that you learn today, the longer you leave it, the less likely you are to do it. And when you do make those changes, when you do implement the stuff, the weaker the value that you're going to drive in the organization. So if you learn some stuff today, don't hang about, start the process of evolving, start the process of change. And at the end, we're recording this. We've got all the illustrated assets for you, and we have a PDF blog with some written words about what we're talking to you about today. So uh, it would probably be best if right now you turn off your phone or tipped it upside down and make sure all your notifications are off, just so you can concentrate. This is not going to be a long webinar. We're going to be online for maybe 20, 25 minutes. So hopefully you can get the full juice of what we're talking about before the primary part of your working day starts. So there are, to engage people and to make that transition, there are 5 key things as a leader you might consider. These are the 5 well-known things. We've got to be really mindful when we're hiring people. We've got to involve and engage our people and ask them questions, get their perspective, get feedback. We've got to be inspiring as leaders, motivational. We've got to be purposeful and passionate about the future and about how we engage with our people and motivate them to want to join that future. And that helps to build that great company culture. And one of the things that we see, feel, hear every day is about in organizations, we need to improve communication, two-way communication, up, down, up, crossways, diagonally. We need to improve the way we communicate. But there's something that's not mentioned here. It's a topic for today. It's important as an organization, we look at all the areas and angles associated with building and evolving into a people-first organization. Yeah, it's about all these 5 things. Yeah, it's about vision, it's about purpose, it's about mission. It's about being clear on that and clear on your direction and having a clear strategic plan. Of course it is. But one thing that's not mentioned so often is the environment that you set up to create and inspire good work and productivity in your office. And that's what we're going to dig into today. So I'm not going to tell you what desks and chairs and lighting to buy, but I might help you just understand really when you walk into your office, is it the right place to create a thriving, dynamic, collaborative team that's moving forward together, or can it be improved? Because there's some interesting stats at the end that I'll share with you about how these small changes and these small investments could actually reap massive rewards for people, for leaders, and for business performance and valuation as well. So we'll dig in. So today's scene, all about collaborative workspaces. So done a bit of research, ready to rock. So what you might find is that if you're in an organization that maybe isn't so people first, maybe the environment isn't set up for success, it's not set up for collaborative working, it's set up more like a sheep pen or a cattle farm or something that is just conducive to siloed working. Do you remember when we talked about it earlier? Like, the profit first business is all siloed, it's disconnected, it's isolated. Part of the problem there is the way you set the office up. So we need to look at that, because if you don't have your office set up the right way, you don't listen to your people about how they want to work, how they want to interact, how they want to connect with each other, with their colleagues, leaders, peers, even customers, then we're going to have these problems. We're going to have these stresses in our people. And of course, if we have these problems in our people, we're not being very productive. We're not moving forward together. It doesn't create a real, happy and engaged environment. So we've got increased stress and burnout's going to happen. Grumpy people with short tempers. You've got all these people just wanting working from home. Well, who wouldn't if they've got brilliant fridge, they've got food on demand, they've got a great working environment in their orangery or their dining kitchen or their front room or their home office, with all the stuff in that makes them feel good, that kicks into that feng shui type approach. And then they walk into an office, and the office looks like this. Imagine that. Imagine if you're trying to move away from profit first culture into a people first culture. You're trying to create a really collaborative approach and create that team connection, cross-functional connections and stuff. But the office is like this. Where's the space to collaborate? Where's the space to even talk to one another about a project, about the future, about our values, about what the next market we're going to interact with or penetrate is. Where is the space for that? Who is going to want to come to the office versus work from home if that's the way the office looks? Or even worse, not a great picture, it's a bit grainy, but you get the, yeah, we've got a collaborative working culture. Have you? So tell me about how that image and that approach creates a collaborative culture. I don't think it does. So it's time to rethink what we do. So just to dig into that problem. So what you're going to have is, if you don't set up the work environment by listening to your people in the correct way, you're going to have sluggish output. If the workspace isn't up to scratch, it's harder for people to buckle down and really get stuff done. Slower progress, less to show. People are stressed. You get that overwhelm and stress overload because there's maybe no windows, there's no collaborative, there's no decompression tank in the corner where you can just go and just de-whelm yourself. I don't know if that's even a word. If there's constant noise, imagine the trading floor at Wall Street, like the bull ring. How can you work in that environment? It's going to lead to more sick days. If you look at your sick days and long-term sick and percentage of people off sick and stuff, maybe one of the answers to improve that is to create a really cool environment. In a really dull office, it's going to kill people's mood. People are going to end up being mood hoovers and sapping the joy out of work. And you get this thing like revolving door syndrome. I've heard that. Maybe you've heard that before. When the office feels like a drag, when it's really like, oh God, people start looking for the exit. They start looking for the door. They start wanting to leave. And if people leave, they take others with them. And it creates a lot of cost and a lot of massive disruption. You may have already considered making some changes, but there are traps that you fall into, and I fell into these traps at Landway a little bit. It did help a little bit, but creating a better environment to collaborate is not the single thing that helps create a good company culture. You can bang some table football in, you can bang the beanbags in, get your free breakfast. Yeah, it helps 1%, those things. But if we're going back to that approach of let's just stack loads of desks in, stack loads of people in, really noisy environment, no one can collaborate with each other. It's not really going to work. You might put the dartboards in, you might try a one size fits all, you might try introducing more technology and screens and displays and stuff. You might try micromanaging performance if things aren't working so well. And this thing in the bottom right, if the performance is poor and people are sluggish and people feel disconnected, you just keeping on telling them what to do and thinking you've got to have all the answers, it's not the right way. We need to try some different stuff. So, don't try just cramming more desks in to create a great atmosphere to work by just overloading the whole thing, because people don't want to work in a sardine can. People don't want that. And then you've got these leaders, some leaders just buy all the latest trendy stuff without thinking how are people going to use it, without thinking how functional is this stuff. A lot of the time it's about comfort, it's about supportive stuff, it's about stuff that lends itself to the job at hand. Do we want more collaboration, or we need to set up a space for collaboration? Do we want more space where people can, de-whelm themselves? If they're feeling overwhelmed, where can they go to just have a quiet space to read or just zone out for a bit and just refresh their mind? Do we have a great outdoor space for people to just sit in nature for a bit? I don't know. You might say this sounds a bit like hippie or a bit woolly, but it's not. It's really important that people get these spaces so they can thrive. Don't immediately go up and plan. You might have tried this and go, right, get down all the walls, knock them all down. No ivory towers in this organization. No, no empire building. Let's up, which is great. It's a really good idea, but it's not the only thing. People need space to work efficiently. They need to work in isolation sometimes. Not everyone is equal. People like different ways of working. I know as a leader, it's difficult to accommodate every single person. But the key thing is you need to ask. You need to engage with your team. How do we set this up, this organization up for success? There's the planning side, there's the vision and purpose, but there's also the environmental, the environment, the working environment side of things too. Don't put too much recreational stuff in there. You know, beanbags, table football. I mean, you know, playing, having fun with each other is important, but this is not a fix. If you've got a bad office environment, you've got a bad culture, you know, you're not listening to your people, you're not acting on what they're saying. If you do listen, then just slinging a dartboard in there is not going to make a jot of difference. Slinging some beanbags in there isn't going to make a jot. It's not your decision to make, isn't this? Maybe you decide that as a leader that we're going to invest in our workspace, but don't decide what we're going to invest in. If you've got 50 people, ask every one of them what they want to see, how they want to work. If you've got 100 people, do the same. Short survey, use Microsoft Forms, it's free. You'll end up with a word cloud, some great words, and some feedback. And guess what? You'll get some great feedback and insights, but more importantly, your employees, your people, your team, they'll feel valued. What else have we got? Colour chaos. I was a great magpie for colour. You know, I walked into our office some days and thought, it just feels so dull. Magnolia walls, everything's monochrome. It feels a bit sterile. So I thought, I'm just going to smash colour everywhere. Yeah, and it kind of does create a little bit of buzz, but it's not changing the way people interact together. It might make people feel lighter in mood and more engaging in the work, but it's not creating different spaces to get different jobs done for different people. So in terms of solution, what does this solution really look like? What are the things we can do that really work for people? Well, this is the stuff we've heard when we've researched, we've asked people about it. It's like, why wouldn't you consider introducing pets? As a leader, you might be like, I don't really like dogs. It's not about you, it's about them. Maybe you've got 100 dog lovers and they want to work from home because they want to look after their dog and they want to make sure their dog's in a nice environment and they're not lonely. Enable them to bring them into the office, perhaps. Not telling you, these are just ideas. Create workspaces that can be adaptable. That could be interesting. So like up and down desks where you can stand up or sit down. Create spaces where 1 minute it's like an auditorium setup, 1 minute it's cabaret seating, 1 minute it's relaxed, it's collaborative, it's together, you know. This is where, you know, when you start making adaptable workspaces, this is where you can have chill out zones, and you can have work zones, you can have teamwork zones and stuff. That's really important. You know, think about, you know, creating a crack team, a cross-functional crack team that led by someone, an expert in the field of workspace design, to really engage with people and extract the information. What do people really want? What kind of environment, what style of working, maybe some bar stool type chairs, maybe some corner sort of chairs, maybe like there's what do you call it, what's that kind of approach? Like an amphitheater type style. I've seen this quite a lot in businesses. That kind of works where people sit down on different levels and they're talking and they're interacting, they're ideating. It's really cool. And maybe there's some space for learning, maybe there's some space for rest and relaxation. So this is what you need to do. So research, evidence, speaking to people who have done this successfully, get some feedback from people, get the scoop from your crew, get the people involved, ask them, surveys, get people talking about it, you know, thinking about how they want to work and interact and what will be great for them. And often this is not really, really massively expensive. And don't just think about your people, think about using the space as almost part of your marketing and sales division. When you're welcoming customers in, when you're welcoming new employees in, they don't want to see this horrible sardine can type approach. They want to see a space that they can imagine themselves in. Imagine themselves working for your organization and thriving and growing and having fun in the space whilst being highly productive. So what else can we do? What else should we do? Get into that feedback and spot the recurring issues. Find the golden thread. There'll be 3 or 4 really significant things that the majority of people say. Got to listen to that. Get this design consultant in on the back of it. Workspace wizards, architects of amazingness. Bring them in. Get them to help you design it. Listen to the voice and start to bring that voice into a tailored design of how you're going to work together. Really cool. And then try it out. Don't go big across the whole thing in one go. Just do a little bit. Create one space. See how people engage. See if we can see productivity improvements. Get some feedback and see if they are enjoying work more. Start to look at the statistics involved. I think that would be really cool. When you do that, when you start listening, you start redesigning, you start acting on people's voice, you bring in an expert to help you design the stuff based on the employee voice and the employee perspective on setting up great workspaces, you get some amazing outcomes. Communication increases massively. It's the number one problem when organizations are trying to grow. They start to creak, and the biggest single problem that we see that is shared with us is that communication is poor, top down and bottom up, and cross functionally as well, left and right. It's just. But when you get this right, communication, cross functional, team cohesion, absolutely awesome. And when you get better communication, better productivity and performance, and the outcomes you can deliver to your customers are much better and joined up. You're going to be better at attracting and retaining people because the working environment, if it's really, really cool and it's really engaging, it's going to help people want to stay with you, working with you and the team, instead of just thinking, well, someone's offering me 10 grand more money, I'm just going to go, because there's nothing else apart from the money that's keeping me here. So consider that. More creative ideas, more innovation in your company, your business. Awesome. And reduce stress. People are happier. People will be happier to engage. And these are some examples here of cool workspaces that were talked about earlier. Look, there's kind of 3 different spaces there. You've got space on the left, people can write on walls and stuff, ideate, collaborate on buffet seating, great. You've got the almost like the amphitheater style stuff at the back on the right, where there's multi-leveled for lunch and learn type stuff. And then you've got the bar stool type seating where people can sit almost like they're in a coffee shop environment, drink coffee, brew, headphones in, away we go. And you can see there, I mean, the cost to build that is not much, but the impact that it could have, as long as you listen to people and you don't just rush ahead and do it, is massive. You know, here's another space, different space. I mean, it looks cool, doesn't it? You go in there, you've got a room for team meetings, online team meetings. You've got nice green grass that makes you feel like you're outside a little bit, but industrial. You'd be proud to take a customer, you'd be proud to take your friends out and say, look at where I work, this is really cool. And even on the left-hand side, you've got a living wall. You've got a wall that actually lives and takes in some of that CO2 and breathes out some oxygen for us humans to consume. Awesome, really nice environments. Personally, and this is a bit of a story from our point of view, you can see here like a pub environment. It could be an Irish bar. In fact, I think it probably is. It looks kind of cool. But you can see there's different types of seating arrangement. That sit up at the bar, sit down here on a stool with your mates, sit on the settee, sit in the middle with more mates around that sort of King Arthur table. You might think, well, it's crazy to think you could set up your workspace like a pub. But let me tell you this, we run YAB groups, Your Affordable Board groups, and these are business communities for business owners where we bring them together collectively and we peer-to-peer solve problems. We're trying to end the sort of feeling of disconnection and isolation by bringing leaders together and helping them form a support group and help them through the problems that they have and the challenges, and also capitalize on opportunities. Anyway, we started off in a bar environment, the first group, and we had 30 people there. 28 people joined that first session. They became members. We've now got something like 10 groups. But as we were growing, we've got 10 groups. We've got over 120, 130 members now, which is brilliant. But as we start to pick the different venues across the UK, we had a couple of pub type bar environments, okay? We had a couple of like sterile, more corporate environments because they had great tech, great space, all that sort of stuff, but quite clinical. And we just had a mixed bag in between. And what we found that when we looked at the statistics of we had guests come, and then, you know, we'd hope that the right guests come, and then those guests love it so much they become a member, and they become a member of YAB, and they pay to be a member and part of that community. What we noticed is at 2 of the groups in particular, this is Chorley and in our Burnley group, both in very similar clinical but digitally enabled environments. The conversion rate from guest to member was really low. We had great meetings, guests loved it, but they just wouldn't commit to joining. And it really puzzled me. But then when we looked at the other venues, the 2 other venues, in fact, there was one other venue that was in a bar, the original venue, the conversion rate was really high. People would come as a guest and they would want to join as a member. Is there some correlation between clinical environment, low conversion, and really cool bar, pub style environment where there was higher conversion? So I moved Chorley from a place called Strawberry Fields into Bar 38, which is a bar. It's an ale bar on the high street, smaller, looks very much like this, but on a smaller scale. And let me tell you, the first meeting that we had there, we had 6 guests and 4 of them joined as members. That's the highest we've seen. And since then, it's been exactly the same. The last meeting we had just last week in the bar, we had 5 guests, 4 have joined as members again. We never had that before. Previously, we've had 10 guests and no people joined when we're in the old clinical, white, sterile, high-tech environment. So we did the same to Burnley. We moved it from that style of environment into a pub, called it Inn at the Wharf. First session, 7 guests, 5 joined. So think about the environment that you're trying to build, that, bringing in new talent, attracting them in the first place, retaining them in the first place, bringing customers in and they go, wow. When I was at the Chorley Yab the other day, there was a chap called Alan walked in and I talked to him at the bar for a minute. And then I made a beeline for him halfway through the session. I said, Alan, how are you finding it? He said, do you know what, Andrew? He said, within 2 minutes of walking in, he said, I knew I'd joined. I said, how so? He said, well, I walked through the door into the bar and immediately my shoulders dropped. I was at ease. I felt relaxed. And Alan got super engaged. He was super happy all the way through in front of a bunch of strangers, and it just worked. So think about how we can set up that environment to enable people to feel relaxed, comfortable, wanting to talk, wanting to share. Because a clinical, really high-tech environment sometimes gets people's heckles up. And we don't want that in business because that'll stifle creativity. It creates a little bit of fear. Fear of compliance or non-compliance. I don't know. There's something around it. So think about that. Really interesting. So what are the outcomes when we get this right? Feel good factor for people. Comfy, cool, stress-free, well-being. People perform when they really want to be in that space. When they feel like they're in the right environment to perform, they will perform well. They'll work hard and they'll enjoy it, which is great. Team spirit, fostering that team ethos, collaboration, get the creative and innovative juices flowing. Everyone's happy. Listen to what people want, act on it, make the changes, get some feedback. Mega. Think of, skip a slide. Think of the outcomes for leaders. You can engage people better, people motivated, they're raring to go. You can attract talent. Yeah. Talking the talk, increasing and improving communication will enable and forge tighter bonds between leaders and the crew, and also cross-functionally. Get people to understand how different parts of the business works. Streamlined working environments mean that the whole business works collectively as one. They're all on one boat rowing in the same direction. And the final one, culture club. Workplace that rocks. You'll cultivate a culture where everyone wants to be part of the team. And from a business perspective, got some stats for you in a second. People are going to work smarter, not harder. Feels great. We're keeping the crew, retention, awesome. Innovation. We're going to win more customers. We're going to retain more customers. Customers are going to be proud to work with us and fly our flag. And it could help us get to that one step, head and shoulders above our competitors, which is really key. So some interesting stats here. And you can just research these stats. I checked out some websites. But if you set up your workspace correctly, and you listen to your people and you deliver solutions to create better workspaces, the University of Warwick have done a study. You're going to get 12% higher productivity from your people. Steelcase did a study, 88% increase in engagement. Imagine that, by creating better workspaces. Absolutely unbelievable. Massive improvements. 15% health and wellbeing improvements by the World Green Building Council. And thinking about the money side of the business, so we're building a business here. We have to think about the numbers bit, the cash side, the money side, the valuation bit. Gallup did a study. If your people are engaged, you've got the right workspace, the culture's awesome, everyone's, working together, 147% higher business valuation. Imagine that. So what's stopping you from getting this stuff done? What's stopping you from moving your organization from the problems? You tried the hard way. Now try the solution. Try the things that we're talking about today and help your organization, your leaders, the people, and your business, your overall business performance, feel and celebrate those outcomes. Absolutely mega. So listen, that's kind of a wrap. Love to hear from you. Love to hear what you think. If you've taken anything away, whether you found it useful or not. So a bit of feedback. Let me know. Put it in the comments. If you want to know more, put it in the comments. We're not design experts, but we can help you make this people first journey. We understand the different things we might want to do. We can help you create a program of evolution. So did you learn things today? Let me know. Did you understand how to implement the things that you learned? Don't know. Let me know. Will you implement these things in your business straight away? And would you like me to send a link to download the assets, the video, the slides, the illustrations? If you want any information, please let me know and we'll get that over to you. So what's next? You could take what you've learned today and implement yourself, which will take time. We need to be really clear that, is it going to work if you do it on your own? Or speed up the process by engaging with me or the team. We'll spend a couple of hours with you totally free of charge. We'll get to understand where you're at now, where you're trying to get to, what challenges you're facing, and how we can work with you, guide by your side to move you and your business and your teams forwards. Put a 1 or a 2 in the comments. Let me know what you want to do. So we've got some upcoming webinars. Chris Ball, the man that can, the Wogan of webinars. 2nd of April, 8 a.m. LinkedIn Live. It'll also be on YouTube and Facebook. People Do Work series of webinars. And he's going to be talking about winning together, building a culture of motivation and success. Can't wait for that. It's going to be awesome. So thanks a lot. Finishing up. Just want to give you some free goodies at the end. Just like the video, comment on it. Let me know that you want the stuff. I'll send you a link. All you need to do is put in your details into the link, download the stuff, and just knowledge is not power on its own. It's only when you implement it that it works. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Andy Henderson, founder, Sherpa Guide of Forward Thinking, lyricist of People Do Work, and it's been great to have the time with you, and hopefully you've learned something, but please do something with what you learned. That's all from me. I'd like to bid you adieu and see you soon.